Angelica Cheyenne, aka the Chocolate Diva. I am here with
Peachanda Dubose.
And this is the Chocolate Diva Talk Show. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's me, Angelica Cheyenne, aka the Chocolate Diva. I am back once again. I'm so happy to be back with you guys. I was gone for a hot minute, but your girl is back. And as always, I am bringing you the most amazing people in my eyesight. And I'm sure when you hear their story, you'll think so too. I normally interview people in hip hop music, but as you know, your girl is very versatile. And right now, I'm sitting with the incomparable writer, poet, hairstylist. I mean, her resume is just extraordinary. So is her story. I welcome Peachanda Dubose.
Yes. Hi, sweetie. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. I actually went to, we're going to get into this later in the show, but I went to her play that she wrote called Veracity, and I was blown away. I am into plays, but you know, certain plays you look and you look at the synopsis and you think, oh, these are going to be really heavy. I got to be prepared. My emotions are going to get, you know, really involved in this. But it took you on, I would like to say, like, an amazing story, the way it wrapped around, and it just brought everything full circle, literally. It was amazing. And I met her, and she was so humble, and you have such a beautiful spirit. So I'm so happy I can have you in studio.
Well, I'm honored to be here. And I was blown away by your request. I was like, she is such a darling. How could I say no? So I'm here, and I want to say I'm proud of you as well. Being a young black queen, I mean, why wouldn't you support that? So I'm here and I'm delighted, and thank you for the invite.
You're welcome. I love it. I mean, you see, she amazing, the support, like everything. But now let's hop into this interview. Now, I normally start off my shows with a Fun Fact Friday, but there's so much on you already. Just Google her. If you don't believe me, Google her. Like just pages and pages. So I want to have a little fun and have people get to know you in a different way. So people know you're a writer, hairstylist, mom, everything, but you're also a poet, and she has a book of poetry.
Wow,
so
you have done your research. Wow.
Yes.
Go ahead, girl.
A whole book, which I am going to order right now.
Okay.
Today.
Awesome.
But for people out there who's into poetry, but maybe they don't know where to start, you know, it's always something that's captivated them, but they didn't know where to begin. For you, we're gonna call this segment Peachanda's Point of View.
Okay.
Who's a poet that should be on everyone's reading list?
Definitely Maya Angelou. I named my child after her.
Oh.
So, absolutely. Dr. Maya Angelou, may she rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Yes.
Now, she's amazing, phenomenal woman. I mean, no pun intended.
I know why the cage bird
Right.
Amazing.
But for you, what does she represent, and why do you consider her a must-read poet?
She represents the definition of sincere humanity, because her poetry is not only for the black woman, which is why I gravitated to her as a young child, but she represents humanity as a whole. She's crossed that line, that barrier of all nationalities, and just her wisdom. That's why I say sincere humanity, because her wisdom brings humility. It brings change. It is thought provoking, and it's in a positive way. That's why I say that.
It definitely is, and like you said, she represents, you know, what it means to be a woman, growth, and all of that.
Yes.
For you, which of her poems really stuck with you that you reflect on the most?
I Rise, because I resonate with that poem so deeply with my personal story. It's a poem that represents being down at your lowest, and in spite of anything, you still get up.
I love
basically
it. And you definitely are, like, I feel like the vision of what it means to rise from the ashes. If you're familiar with mythology, you know,
Yes.
the phoenix rises from the ashes, and, you know, the fact that you came so far from where you've been is amazing. We're going to get into that, too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm here as long as you need me.
Awesome. So when did you begin to envision yourself as a writer?
Ooh, well, it kind of happened when I was a little girl. Mother's Day, I used to write poems for my grandma and my mom, because I didn't have money to buy them gifts. So I was creative, and I just put my thoughts and how I felt about them, and I just began to, you know, put it in a little cardboard, plaster it, and give it to them as gifts. But I didn't write my first play until I was 35.
Wow.
10 years ago. Mm-hmm.
So in that path, like you said, from a little child writing and giving things to your family with your words, was it ever a moment that you ever considered, like, this could be my career, this could be my, what represents me? Did you ever think that?
Not until 2007 when I released my first book of poetry.
Okay.
That's when a good friend of mine, well, actually, it started out with a female friend of mine. She was just reading over some of my transcripts, and I was over her house. She was like, my nickname is Peaches. She said, Peaches, this is really good. You should do something. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so she was like, I really think it's good. And then another friend, a couple of years later, he confirmed it. He started taking me out to spoken word events. And I'm not a spoken word artist. Some people don't understand it's a difference. The spoken word is still poetry, but it's a gift when you can convey it to an audience in a powerful way. I'm more of a writer, where you sit and read my words.
Okay.
Even though I've done spoken word, that's just not my thing.
So
and I honor it as a whole separate art craft. Yeah.
So is it something that you consider like you can do, but that's not really what you lean towards? You more of the writer?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Absolutely. If you notice anything about me, I shy away from the limelight. I do. I shy away from it. I'm comfortable with people either seeing my work or reading it.
I think that's amazing because you write such powerful messages in your writings, in your plays, and just to see you kind of leaning towards not being center stage, it's different, but it also, I think, ties into what I said about you earlier about your humility. You know, I feel like you're a very humble person. So would you say that when your friends read over your work, that kind of is what encouraged you to pursue it?
Yes, it is. It is. Shout out to Marcia Smith and Benjamin Baker, who believed in me even before the Playwright, even before my book was produced. They encouraged me to really pursue it. And over time, the seeds they planted, it made me decide to go ahead on and pursue my first volume, which was in 2007, of poetry.
And what was the name of the volume, just for people?
Reflections of Me. Reflections of You.
Now, I think that's really cool. Sometimes, when family and friends give their input, it's funny how sometimes when people see it, we don't always see it. It takes other people to make us realize, you know what, I probably should do that. Now,
and my children were very vital to me pursuing becoming a playwright. Now that was a whole nother genre of writing.
So they saw your work and they were like, Mommy, you should write a play?
Well, actually, at the time I was a member of a church, and I was a new member. So they, the new members, they would get together and plan a Founders Month of fundraising activities. And so at the time I was like, well, let's just do a play and do it as a fundraiser. And I took some of my previous experience and put it all into that play. It was the first play I ever written. I had written skits for church and before as a young adult, but never took it seriously as far as, like really pursuing it. So long story short, I ended up taking the play from the church, and the rest is history. And my kids was like, Mom, I think you got something.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and they were real little back then. We're talking 10 years ago.
And kids are honest.
Yeah,
they gonna tell you the truth.
Yeah, if they wasn't feeling, they'd be like, Nah, Mom. But they were like 9 and 10 back then.
Yeah.
So they're young adults now, but they encourage me every step of the way. They, Mom, we believe in you, and so it was, because we made a lot of sacrifices over time to get the productions off the ground, and they were that push.
When you think back and you think about your family, your children, is there ever a moment where everyone maybe who was in your close circle when you were building your foundation for this, do you guys ever just sit back and think like, wow, we really made it, and really revel in like the progress that you guys have made?
Yeah, we revel in that, but we also reflect on the sacrifices it took too, because it has not been an easy road. We went through a lot, you know, especially when resources aren't there and you don't have a lot of family support in general. For years, it's just been me and my 2 children, so being a single mom and financing your own productions and limited resources, it takes a tremendous sacrifice. So we look at it from both points.
I think that's good to, realize that, so you can really, realize that you got to keep going no matter what.
Yeah.
And
so I like to tell both sides.
Yeah,
there's been victories and there's been some losses too. So people need to understand that. It's a lot that comes along with it.
Yeah.
It's not all easy street.
And I think that's like so amazing that you're able to acknowledge those points, because I think it's something very vulnerable about, telling I've been through troubles, and feeling strong enough to really stand in them. And it's like, yes, this is a part of me, but this is also where I am now.
Right. Also,
Yeah.
Because whoever may watch this interview, they may want to venture into either poetry or writing stage productions. And I think part of inspiring other people is being transparent. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody doesn't have a strong support system such as me, and everybody doesn't have that family backing or finances. But I'm an example that in spite of that, it can be done. I just want to let people know the reality of what's in store, especially if you got the goods. Now,
Yeah.
if you got the goods, then it's going to be a lot harder, because you have to deal with people trying to stop you. You know, the people who are the most talented, sometimes they face the most challenges. But those who are mediocre, they don't really have no haters. I'm just keeping it real. You understand?
Dropping gems. She's keeping it all the way 100. She's like, if you pop it, you gonna have it harder. That's the way it goes.
That's just, it is what it is. So I'm that person who came up through the hard knocks as far as pursuing this dream, and actually manifesting it. And so I need people to understand that, and with all of the highs, you be prepared for the lows, and that's what makes you great. That's the point when you become great, when you can withstand in spite of the hard times.
And how, because I really, resonate with what you just said. You said you can have a dream, but then you have to manifest it.
Manifest it.
So what do you feel like keeps people from manifesting?
There's always going to be challenges, but the deciding factor in the people who become great and the people who become stagnant is a decision. It's a choice. Am I going to let whatever this issue is going on in my life, am I going to let that stop me, or am I going to figure out a way to maneuver it and still keep focused on that dream to make it come true? That's what manifestation is. It's not only thinking, it's not only praying, but it's doing the work to actually get to the final destination.
I mean, she's just dropping a whole bunch of gems. I hope y'all taking notes. Like, she's giving you the keys right now. But I do like the fact that you acknowledge that it's not only faith, but it's hard work.
Absolutely.
Yes. And for you, like you said, people who have the goods will probably go through more and have to fight through more, because people want to stop them.
Right.
What do you feel about people, and how would you help someone, or what would you tell someone who maybe has the talents and has the goods, but they have not recognized that they have that talent? How do you get to a point where you realize that I have what it takes? I literally have it already before even doing anything.
Listen, the people who have the talent, they know they have it.
Okay.
They trust me. People who really have the goods. When we speak about talent, I'm talking about natural raw talent. They know they have it. Just like you have the talent. You knew you had the talent to do what you're doing when you were little. I know that. I already can tell. Okay. They know they have it, but the problem is they're listening to voices that tell them that they don't have it. Either internal voices or voices from the haters, or from people say don't mention your haters. No, I do mention it, because that kills a lot of dreams, and it kills a lot of careers, and it kills a lot of people's destiny, because they listen to those voices. Like I said, whether they're social media or family, some family can be dream killers. But to get back to your question, people know when they're different. They know when they have the goods. They know when they have the gift. It's just a matter of them actually grabbing hold to it, embracing it, because people know when it's there. I just believe that. Yeah. No one has to help you discover it. The universe may use them to mention it to you, but you knew it, just like I knew it was there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So how long have you been wanting to do what you're doing now?
Apparently, since I was a little girl, my mom brings up stories. I used to talk to my dolls and just sit and just talk and really
so you
converse.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like she just read into my soul, y'all. Like, she was just like, hit something.
Being great, it's lonely sometimes. And sometimes you're ostracized because you are different in terms of, like, what you're doing, that's not my lane. You understand? And what I do, that's not your lane, or it might be later on down the line. Right. But it's, everybody has something that they do. Yeah. You understand what I mean? Yes. So it's just a matter of, sometimes you just got to ignore the voices and just determine just to do what you do and be good at it.
I like that.
You just got to, realize what it is that you do and master it.
I mean, I feel like all of these things that you are saying is just pure D truth. And it's sometimes we like to complicate things, but it's just that simple. Recognize your talent, horn in on it, work hard and master. And I feel like these are key lessons that keep reoccurring in life, but it's the truth to greatness. And as you're as a result of that, you know?
Thank you. I really appreciate. Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now, I want to get into a little bit more depth. This is when I was reading your backstory, I really felt for that portion of your life because, you know, when we look at people, we don't know their story a lot of the times. Right. Not everyone wears it on their shoulders. So for me, when I was researching you and for the purpose of this interview, I'm not stalking her, but but for the purpose of this interview, I was just amazed. I'm not going to get into the key
you were doing
factors.
Your job.
Yeah,
you were doing what you're supposed to do.
Right. You know, and then midst of social media, everyone's like, "You're stalking me." It's like, well, you put it out in public. So, but let's get back to it. You have unfortunately have a story that's all too common. You've been through, you know, you survived domestic violence, sexual abuse, just hardship in general. How are you able to maintain faith? Because you're a very, very faithful, I would say very spiritual person. So in the midst of all of that, how are you able to maintain your faith?
Well, it had a lot to do with my spiritual foundation. I was just born with a survival mechanism within me, and that's not to toot my own horn. I'm just being honest. You know, and then my children, they were a source for me to survive. So it's just something that was in me, birthed out of like my spiritual relationship, where something you have to reach outside of you when you don't have strength. That's what carried me over also.
I think that's amazing, and it's I like how you acknowledge that it was something innate, because like I believe we all have innate abilities that are just we're born with, and sometimes people may not have that ability to survive, or maybe they don't have the tools or the faith. I know you refer to your children a lot. You guys are very close, and they've been with you through a lot. Would you say that they were one of the key reasons to persevere and survive? Had you not had them,
they were the only.
Okay.
They were the only thing.
Okay.
Yeah, if it wasn't for them, I would have quit a long time ago. Just keeping it real. Because I didn't want to. In the eyes of your children, you know, you don't want to look at okay, mom gave up, or mom, you know, faltered, or mom turned to this, or she turned to that. But they were the only.
I think that's beautiful. Now, for those who are listening who maybe are saying, I'm going through similar circumstances, I don't have that faith or that foundation, I don't really know how to survive, what would you tell them? Like, what are some key things that you harbor in when you need to push through the muddy waters and, you know, get free?
I think they need to find out what it is that they love, even if they don't have children, to love their self. Because when there's a love for anything, that makes you want to fight for it. Whether it's your life, whether it's your children, whether it's your freedom, whether it's your peace of mind, find that one thing that you love and fight for it. I think that'll help anybody survive any circumstance. Because everybody loves something. They love something.
I just think that you are so dope because
wow, thank you.
I don't know any my videographer just laughed because she's probably thinking the same thing. I don't know any way else to put it, because I think, and I guess that's why you write, you have a way with words to make people get it and really be able to use it. You know, I always say my mom has that same ability. She can tell you something, and it just, you may not want to hear it at the time when you're going through it, but it just makes sense, and you can utilize it.
That's normally when you know it's right. When you don't want to hear it, and it's a little bit, when it's something you don't want to hear, 9 times out of 10 it's the truth.
Because
that goes for all of us. You get mad when you tell the truth.
Right.
You know?
But I feel like for you, you know, what people may think, it's simple. It can't be that simple. You're sitting here in front of me, and it's just like, it really is. You know, I think we sometimes, I guess that's the power of the mind. We complicate and make things more magnified and just kind of cloud our own selves. But like you said, just get in your space, find things you love, love yourself.
Right.
Just key things that we often overlook.
It's just that, I mean, that's what I did. You know, that's what I did, and that was key. My children were that thing that I loved, and that's what made me determined not to give up. But for those who don't have children, they have something they love. They have something they love. I don't know everybody's story, but they have that one thing that makes them hold on.
Yes. And was this something, because like you said, you've been, you know, going back to childhood, we know a lot of things from our childhood, it carries us over. Was you recognizing, I've had this talent, I've had this dream, I've had this whatever for a long time, was that also a reason for you to really not only survive, but really have something to look forward to?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I love the way you put that. Yep. It was something to look forward to. Just like, you know, me, just like a lot of other artists, you know, I have a 9 to 5. And I'm telling you, but when I go to those rehearsals and when we're in that theater space and when I'm in that environment, that's when my light lights up, my whole spirit, my being lights up. That's how I know that's my purpose in this life, you know, because it's just that one thing you feel when you're in your element, and that's how you know that's where you're supposed to be.
Again, I feel like she's speaking to my inner being. I'm just like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, like this is real. Like, you know, she's speaking on some real facts. Now, I want to get in, like, to your actual plays and you being a playwright. You have just an extensive list of plays. We're going to focus on Veracity a little bit more into this, but I just want to, you know, let people know that. And you can also find some clips on YouTube if you want to know about her past plays.
You've been doing your thing. I like that.
Thank you. Now, I feel like your writing serves as an inspiration and liberation for those who are going through similar things, as well as providing insight for maybe those who are on the outside looking in. Which of your plays has been the biggest breakthrough for you emotionally?
Well, all of my stories I resonate with. Surrender, particularly because it was my very first play, and again, it was birthed out of experience in life that I once had. It was about a former drug dealer who found redemption in his faith, and he became a different person and began to inspire everyone around him. It was a faith-based production. My writing has since evolved to more social issues now, but Surrender will always hold that significant part in my heart because it was my first one.
Okay.
And the story was very parallel to one point in my life, too, when I was involved with the drug dealer. So, yeah, he chose the other path, but the person in the play chose the other path. Okay.
You were like, wait, I wanted him to.
Yes. But, yeah, it holds a very special place in my heart.
Okay. The first one is usually the most notable one to us.
Surrender. Yeah. And number 2, I would say Ferguson, the musical, which is very, very, very extremely emotional for me because it deals with the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that the message solidifies. And it's like a narrative of trying to help people understand what it's like to be a young Black man or woman in society based around that social issue. So, yes, that's number 2.
Okay.
Number 3, I would say Veracity. And that's not only because it's my current one, it's because it's my first crossover piece.
Okay.
Meaning it's my first production where it's multicultural. I mean, you saw it.
Yes.
We have a cast of, we have an Asian female, we have a Mexican lead, we have three Black males, and we have 3 white characters, which one is a disabled actor.
Which did amazing, by the way.
Stephen was outstanding.
I liked it. I thought his character was funny. I mean, even though I don't think he was supposed to be funny, but yeah.
Oh, no, that was strategically written.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to drive home that because people have disabilities, I don't know why there's this stigma that they can't be funny.
Yeah.
That they can't be actors. That they can't be a probation officer.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, he was good.
Firm, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yes, and that's actually Stephen. That's his first stage production since high school. He's done film and television. As an adult, but that was his stage debut.
I liked
Couldn't
it.
tell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Veracity is my first crossover piece, meaning, you know, with the exception of Ferguson, I had a Caucasian actor, but the majority of that cast was still African American.
Yes.
But Veracity is my first crossover piece. It's so diverse, and the content was different also for me. So I love all of my productions. They all have a significant meaning, but it was hard to narrow down just one. So I would say those are the top three.
And she has more than that. That was just the top three. She has you know, and fun fact, Ferguson was nominated for an NAACP award, right? It won.
We were nominated for 3.
Nominated,
and
okay.
we won 1.
Yes.
Yes. But Ferguson in general has been, it's award winner of 5. But for the particular NAACP, we got nominated for 3 and won 1. But Ferguson has a total of 5 awards.
Amazing. I was trying to find some clips on YouTube. I was like, let me see if I can find it. But yes, and I just want to say, I feel like you're in your own lane as a playwright. You're writing from not only the African American perspective, but from a woman's perspective, you know, and sometimes that's a little bit overshadowed when it comes to media in particular.
With the exception of Veracity.
With the exception of Veracity.
Veracity, we're writing for everybody.
For everyone. That she's inclusive. But I meant for you as a writer, as a general. You know, I feel like you are the closest relations to Tyler Perry in the sense where you take all experiences of just people in general, and you really gear it and write it from the mind frame of the everyday black woman, black man, or just, you know, show how we as different cultures interact, you know, which often is, you know, we don't want to talk about, we don't want to make anyone feel awkward. And I will say about Veracity, when I saw it, it was the most comfortably uncomfortable play that I've watched. Because just like it was just like a play that dealt with everyday topics, you know, the certain topics that are maybe more controversial or ones that we kind of shy away from, you dealt with that in an eloquent manner, may I say.
Thank you. I was very careful for it not to be, for it not to be preachy. Yes. You know, and as people still get it.
Yeah. Now, heads up, I believe there's one more show in LA.
There's 2 more.
2 more shows in LA.
Next
Thursday. We're going to give you the plug at the end of the show. But for those who, I do encourage everyone to see it, no matter what you look like, you know, but you will be uncomfortable, but you won't know.
That's a good thing.
It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's amazing. It's kind of like this Jedi mind thing going on. It's like, this is, you know, I don't know how I feel, but it's done to where everyone is heard. I don't want to give away any details, but everyone is heard from all perspectives. And so I do like that.
I feel like if I've made you uncomfortable, then I've done my job. Along with my phenomenal actors. They are just outstanding. Can I make an honorable mention, though?
Yes.
Loving Him. That's honorable mention.
Yes.
That's
your film, right?
No, Loving Him, that's Diverse Temptation.
Yes.
But Loving Him, I mentioned them, too, because they were my favorite cast.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, and Veracity is a close second. But, you know, all of my productions are very meaningful to me.
Okay.
But Loving Him, the reason why I say that is because it was a heavily based relationship production, like you want to talk about love, complex issues, just some of the couples in the play were very electric. It was just so many key points that we hit on in terms of relationship, different kind of relationships, from marriage to homosexual relationships to interracial relationships. And so that was a very different piece as well, as far as diverse relationships and situations. So, yeah.
Keep giving, you know, keep letting them know, because I mean, when I say she writes diversely, relatably, but also controversially, you know, one would say, she's just great.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So let's get into the Veracity play now. I'm going to give a certain what I feel like it deals with. I don't want to give away any spoiler alerts, but just giving you a heads up, it deals with things like over-policing, wrongful convictions, stereotypes, addictions, sexual abuse, and the importance of elders' guidance.
Yes, absolutely.
You know.
Which is so important.
Yes. It is.
As a society, we've gotten away from that, listening to our elders and the wise ones. as a culture is like massive wise negative. Well, I guess we navigate to the negative.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was growing up, we used to listen to the elders.
Mm-hmm.
Did we always do what they suggested? No, but at least we would listen.
Yeah.
But in today's society, I've seen a trail of disrespect,
Mm-hmm.
a trail of disregard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to bring in that narrative of wisdom and mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
which we all need. We'll always need mentorship no matter how old we are.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that was the key purpose for that character, Mr. Leroy.
I think he did great.
Yes.
And I also wanted to ask you this because there's sometimes where we as people make assumptions,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't really
Mm-hmm.
question where those assumptions come from.
Mm-hmm.
So because again, no spoiler alerts, but in the beginning of the play
Mm-hmm.
where the main character, who is a black man, one of the
Right.
main characters,
Mm-hmm.
he comes in to the bakery where he's working, due to his probation, he has to have a job.
Right.
And the manager, who is Latin, Hispanic.
Hispanic.
Yes.
Phenomenal actor.
Great actor. I really didn't like him. And then when after the play, when I saw him, I was like, he's just a character.
Right. Oh yeah, you got it. That means he did his job.
He did great.
If he made you hate him, that means he did good. Good job, Ali.
He
Good job.
did. And I saw, because if you go to the play in LA,
make
the
you wanna
Hudson
choke him,
Theaters,
right?
you'll get to see them after and mingle with the
Yeah.
actors. And when I saw him, my
You wanted to choke
yeah,
him, didn't you?
yeah, I was like, ooh. And I was like, it's just a play.
Uh-huh.
But when it comes to that and the way you write your plays,
Mm-hmm.
in particular the Veracity, was that done on purpose?
Yes.
Because it started out before at the end he explains why he felt a way about Mike. Mike was the lead guy's name? The character. Kendrick, excuse me. Kendrick's character. He explains why, but before then he had all these assumptions about everybody.
Right, everybody. not
in the
just him.
plays.
Mhm.
So was that purposely done?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of world we live in.
Mhm.
People assume they know everything about you just by looking at you.
Yeah.
Sometimes, or what they heard.
Yes. And even I, just as the person I am watching the play, and that's why I said the way it unravels, because it's not linear at all. It's not. So you may think you've seen the story, but you really haven't. So I think that's the amazing part about it. So in regards to you saying that you now are incorporating social injustices as themes for your plays,
I have to.
how does Veracity differ from past productions that may have dealt with that, like Ferguson the musical example?
Like how I mentioned earlier, because it's so diverse. We have
Okay.
I'm representing stories not only of African American stories, but other stories as well. Just finding a creative way to mesh it all together. So I'm telling multiple stories from multiple walks of life that parallel one another, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it significantly different.
And also, in addition to that, I love the acknowledgement of generational differences,
Yes.
but yet similarities.
Yep.
It's so subtle. And then you just realize, because, as generations go on, we think, oh, we're doing something different. And it's like, you have to really realize
This
we're
done
really
happened
not.
before. This done happened before. It's just a different day and time, but I went through the same thing when I was your age. It was
Right.
just a different time in history, but same story, different time.
And I love the way that you just make that, known like that. So what is something that you want people to take away most from Veracity?
They'll have to come see it. They'll have to come see it and take away their own, what they take away from it on their own. Because that's something that they would have to see. Because I could sit here and say, this is what I want you to take away.
Right.
But everybody takes away their own thing from it.
Spoken like a true writer.
Yeah, they would have to come see it and make that determination themselves,
Right.
Yeah.
I can see you working with you and Tyler Perry. I just know he got his own thing of being.
Okay.
We gonna put
Let's
that into the
Let's
universe.
start a petition. Let's start a petition. You got people putting up billboards, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's start a petition. Tyler, hire Peachanda.
Please,
Okay, let's start that
Oprah
petition
somebody.
Right now. So
You
we'll start
okay?
with Tyler. Let's start a petition. Word up. We had a wonderful show last night,
Yes.
and to close it this way is just awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and people who are in LA, in the LA area, coming down to LA, please check out this amazing play. You have 2 more?
We have 2 more shows next Thursday at 5 p.m. and 7:45 p.m. at the Hudson Theater, Veracity. To purchase tickets online, it's ticketbud.com, like a rosebud, ticketbud.com, and then put Veracity in the search bar.
Now, the tickets is $25. Before you be like $25. I don't know. It's worth it.
Well,
like,
thank you.
Yes. Now, since it is Friday, I don't know how familiar you are with hashtags, but it's also Flashback Friday. And since I love music and I always like to end the show on a high note with some good feel music, I'm going to let you pick the Flashback Friday song of the day.
Okay, you played it at the beginning. Work it. Let's play Work It.
That's what we gonna do. We gonna play Work
We gonna play Work
It by Missy Elliott.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, y'all have a wonderful weekend. I'm glad to be back, and I will be coming back with more amazingness going forward on the Chocolate Diva Talk Show. You can catch me on Instagram at the Chocolate Diva, and you can find Peachanda I always want to say Dubois.
Peachanda Dubose.
Yes.
On Instagram, it's Peachanda Dubose, PEACHANDA. Same thing on Facebook.
Y'all have a litty weekend. We out.
We out.
Come on, is it worth it? Let me work it. I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. It's your primitive, it's why I need. It's your primitive, it's why I need. If you got a big, let me search it to find out how hard I gotta work. Yeah, it's your primitive, it's why I need. It's your primitive, it's why I need. I like to get to know ya so I can show ya. Put the pussy on ya like I told ya. Give me all your numbers so I can phone ya. Your girl acting stink, then call me over. Not on